The period of English literature. We ought now to have no difficulty in understanding why the history of English literature is always divided into periods. This division is made, it is true, primarily as a matter of convenience, since for purpose of study it is necessary to break a large subject up into parts, but there is also a real justification for it. A period, in the sense which we properly attached to the term, is certain length of time during which a particular kind of taste prevails, and the literature of which is therefore marked by various common characteristics of subject matter, thought, tone, style, while the individual writers of such a period will of course differ immensely one from another in all the specific qualities of personality. These common characteristics will nonetheless be pronounced features in the work of all of them. Then, with a decisive change of taste, the period in question may be said to come to a close while another period opens. We must be our guard against treating these periods as if they were rigorously fixed and self-contained with actual boundary walls between each one and the next. History recognizes only a continuous flow, and follows nothing of absolute ending and beginnings. Hence, in fact, age overlaps age, and in strict chronology a man's work may begin in one and end in another. We can see at once that all proposed divisions have something arbitrary about them when we remember that Dryden was a man of 43 when Milton died, and outlived him only 26 years, and that we yet always consider them not as contemporaries but as representatives of different epochs. Still, on the whole, the period of literature are fairly well defined, and in practice they are of the utmost value because they help us to concentrate attention upon the things which are most important in each successive stage of that great gradual transformation which, as we have learned, it is the main business of a history of literature to record. In tabulating these periods, various methods may be adopted. It is very usual to label them with epithets derived from history, and to speak, for example, of the Elizabethan age, the age of Restoration, the Victorian age, and so on. But perhaps it is better to take our descriptive terms from literature itself and to designate each period by the name of its utmost characteristic and representative writer. This is the course I purpose to adopt here, leaving out of consideration for the moment literature before Chaucer, and for 150 years or so after his death we shall thus have the age of Chaucer, the age of Shakespeare, the age of Milton, the age of Dryden, the age of Pope, the age of Johnson, the age of Wordsworth, the age of Tennyson. As the last division of our study, the appended table will show the rough limits of this period and their relations with the period of general history. It must be borne in mind that as this is to be a little book on a big subject, the various question with which, as I have shown, the history of English literature has to deal must be briefly treated. In view of the limitation of our space, we shall also have to confine our attention almost entirely to what is commonly known as general literature, the literature of special subject of science, theology, philosophy, and so forth, save in exceptional cases in which there is some particular reason for mentioning it, will therefore be omitted from our survey. This is the English literature period of English literature. One side is literary period, second is approximate date, and at the last there is historical period. For example, there is pre-Chaucerian period 500 to 1340. This is also called Anglo-Saxon and Anglo-Norman periods. The age of Chaucer 1340 to 1400. This is the Middle Plantagenet or Angevin period. From Chaucer to Tottel's Miscellany, 1400 to 1557. Later Plantagenet and Angevin period. Of Shakespeare 1564 to 1616. The Elizabethan age, the Jacobean age, age of Renaissance. The age of Milton 1608 to 1674. The period is 1625 to 1660. The Caroline age. The Dryden age, Dryden 1631 to 1700. The period is 1660 to 1700. The age of Restoration. The age of Pope, the Augustan, also called the Augustan age. Pope was during 1688 to 1744, and the period is 1700 to 1745. Also called the Queen Anne age, the early Georgian age. The age of Johnson, 1709 to 1840, 1709 to 1784, is Middle Georgian age. The age of Wordsworth was later Georgian age. The age of Revolution. The age of Tennyson is also called Victorian age, that is during 1832 to 1887.